All right. Happy Thursday. Let's make sure we're working here. Boom. All right. Welcome to the chat. Nice Hawaiian shirt. This is what I like to call casino carpet. This is casino carpet, this shirt. Thank you, Abby. Appreciate that. Welcome to the stream. Man, these weeks are flying by. I cannot believe this is week 14 of the Thursday night stream. So that's where we are as of right now. Updates on the next couple streams. Sunday morning will be the next one. We'll get set to do the entire Sunday card with the exception of Sunday Night Football. That is a run for 30 plus minutes. And then we come back Sunday afternoon at the conclusion. Let's get those words out today. Conclusion of the final afternoon game. We break down Sunday Night Football, which is Steelers-Bills. Steelers, just nothing but primetime standalone games these days. No more Sunday card for the Steelers. It'll be Wednesdays and Tuesdays and Mondays and everything else. So that's the upcoming schedule. Then we'll see you Monday for the standard 2 p.m., 11 a.m. Monday stream. This is Thursday. Let's recap what happened Monday night. 2-5. So a couple winners. We had the under in Pittsburgh, Washington, and yes, on Andy Dalton throwing an interception. We laid some juice there, but it's a smash. Going to continue to do it moving forward until Dalton stops throwing INTs, which he's thrown an INT in every single start he's had this year. I know you got to lay juice on it, but I'll happily do that because right now it's so profitable. I think we've done it 4 or 5 weeks in a row, at least 4. You lose one, fine. Then you reset. Then you come back and you bet the INT again the following week. That's what we're going to do. So that's that. Those two were the winners. The losers. We teased Tampa Bay, Green Bay, I believe it was with Pittsburgh. What the hell? It was who's on Sunday? Doesn't matter. It was a loser. It was the Pittsburgh teaser that we were closing. That lost. San Francisco minus 1.5 got annihilated. Thankfully, some in-game wagering on Buffalo balanced that one out. Both Raheem Mostert props, over rushing yards and over rushing attempts. It looked good. I don't know what you're doing, Shanahan. He's your best running back. Whatever your game plan was against Buffalo was absolutely atrocious. I don't know. That was rarely do you see Shanahan perform that poorly, but he performed poorly in every facet. They were not prepared for that game, which is fine. Losing to Buffalo, they're a good team. I'm not mad about that, but you couldn't even get the ground game going. You just kept shuffling running backs in and out. Like if Mostert wasn't hurt, I have no idea what the plan was there. But whatever. So those missed, and then Josh Allen rushing over missed. We go 2-5. That puts us at 108, 138, and 1 on the season. So 30 under 500. Going to be very difficult to get that back to 500 by the Super Bowl, which has been the plan. One little note to all of you that reached out on Twitter about Brandon Ayuk scoring that first TD. We talked about it. It wasn't one of the official plays. I know a couple of people were like, it hit at 12-1. You give yourself 12 wins. I'm not going to do that. I'm glad the people that followed it, though. I can't believe how many people followed that. It's not like billions of people watch the stream. Like we got a handful of people that come in here. We have a good time. But after he scored that TD, like 20 minutes later, I checked Twitter, and there were a bunch of people that apparently had followed that. So everyone who played the Ayuk TD, the first TD in that game, good stuff. Spend it wisely or put it towards the losses if you're going to continue following these picks because that's what we do. But that was awesome. It was awesome to see that happen. Juszczyk had a chance at 33-1, and they stuffed him. He came up short, and then they hit Ayuk. So 12-1. That was a nice little casher. It doesn't count towards the record, unfortunately, but for those who played it, good on you. All right. We'll get to Rams-Patriots in just a second. Let's talk about some of the key line moves that have already taken place as we get set for Week 14. Green Bay opened on the look-ahead as a 7-point favorite at Detroit. A little bit of Green Bay money that is now up to 7.5. Tennessee was a 9.5-point favorite at Jacksonville. That's down to 7.5. Now remember, that was the look-ahead line. That was before Tennessee went out and got pummeled by Cleveland. So that's now down to 7.5. Also, if I remember correctly, Jacksonville played a pretty decent game this last weekend, overtime with Minnesota. So that factors in as well. Dallas was laying 3.5 at Cincinnati. That's a football game. Andy Dalton returns home. Good God. No movement in that game. Here's an intriguing one. I can give you a spoiler alert. I will be playing the Giants this weekend. We're going to talk about that on Sunday. Arizona was a 3-point favorite on the look-ahead line at New York against the Giants. That's down to 1.5. Don't be surprised if that crosses all the way through and the Giants are a favorite by the time that game kicks off. Let me take a look at it right now. Yeah. Giants are still catching 1.5. I don't think you're going to do better than that unless Colt McCoy ends up starting. Arizona, what's Arizona, right? They started hot. They were like 5-2. They've stunk since. I think they're 1-5 in their last 6. And the only win was the Hail Murray against Buffalo. They needed a fluke play to win that game. The Giants have been playing very good defense as of late, like extraordinarily good defense. And this feels like the week people are starting to wake up to the Giants, and hopefully in conjunction with looking at how bad Arizona has been, because they have not been good. I think we still have this memory or this thought, which is weird because people suffer from recency bias, yet we want to believe Arizona is good because we saw them at the beginning of the season, and they look pretty good. Whispers about Kyler Murray as MVP, but they have not looked good since. And yet for some reason, we're not like adjusting properly. People still want to play Arizona. All right, good luck. I'm just telling you, I'll be on the Giants in that game. Houston was a 1.5-point favorite at Chicago. That's down to 1. I'm not going to be surprised if that flips to Chicago as the favorite. Will Fuller obviously out for the Texans. There are projections of high wins in this game. And if you can't throw the football, that's great news for Chicago because it cuts down on what Watson can do, but it also means the Bears have to run the ball. Houston's run defense is terrible, and anytime Mitchell Trubisky is not the one being responsible for making the play, you're in better shape as a member of the Chicago Bears. So don't be surprised that the Bears close as a favorite there. Carolina was a 4-point favorite over Denver. That's down to 3.5. I can tell you right now, I will have nothing on that game. Every time I look at that game, I just immediately put an X through it. I'm like, I want nothing to do with either of those teams in any of this situation. That's how that's going to play. There will be no action whatsoever on that game. None. Book it. You never know, though, if I get a tip. Tampa Bay minus 6.5 against Minnesota hasn't moved. If you like Tampa Bay, get it. I'm wondering when that's going to go to 7. I love Tampa Bay in that spot. Kansas City minus 7.5 against Miami. That's down to 7. Colts were laying 2.5 here in Vegas against the Raiders. It's now up to 3. I almost feel like I'm walking into a trap playing the Colts, but it looks like the Raiders are running out of gas again, just like they did last season. If it's not for Greg Williams, they've lost 3 in a row. And then what's the spread in this game, right? If they lose to the Jets, what's the spread in this game? That's actually a good point. I need to remember to say that more often. That sounds smart. What's spread? You can all sit through me taking my notes. What great TV. What's the spread if Jets beat Raiders? That's how you make TV. You're going to see that on Daily Wager. That line right there is going to appear on Daily Wager sometime before the games kick off Sunday. Seattle was a 15-point favorite at the Jets. That's down to 13.5. 15 on the look-ahead line. Good God. Atlanta was a pick-em against the Chargers. It is now Atlanta minus 2.5. So money's coming in on Atlanta. The fact that these two are playing each other this weekend. I think maybe Atlanta hasn't blown enough games as of late. You know, they lost to the Saints kind of as expected last week. They hammered the Raiders the week before. They lost to the Saints the week before that. We kind of forgot. We kind of forgot about Atlanta a little bit. Chargers continue to Charger. That's what they do. Chargers going Chargers. And that's what they've been doing all year. This is just a game for the ages. I feel like I should be betting lots of money on that game in some capacity, recklessly. And we probably will. The Saints were a 6.5-point favorite at Philadelphia. Depends on where you look. Could be minus 7, could be minus 6.5. Jalen Hurts getting the start for the Eagles. Niners laying 4.5 at Washington. That was the look ahead. Hosting Washington, Niners minus 4.5, hosting Washington. That's down to 3. Washington just beat the Steelers. Niners just got beat up by the Bills. Natural movement there. Pittsburgh was a 2.5-point favorite at Buffalo on the look ahead line. Pittsburgh loses to Washington. Buffalo beats San Francisco. Buffalo's now a 2.5-point favorite. You have a 5-point swing. 5-point swing in that game. Sunday Night Football. I can't wait to talk about that game. Love that game. And then Baltimore minus 3 at Cleveland Monday night. That's down to 2. So we've seen some Cleveland money. So there you go. Let's get to the picks. So we have a good one tonight. Patriots at Rams. Patriots just played the Chargers in Los Angeles. They spent the week in Los Angeles. I believe they were practicing at UCLA. Don't quote me on that. But they stayed out on the West Coast, and now they get ready to take on the Rams. Weather's not a concern. Kroenke's building has a roof, so we're good there. Injuries tonight. The only name to keep an eye on for the Rams is Matt Gay, the kicker, Matt Gay. He is questionable. So we'll find out about 90 minutes before game time unless it leaks. That's it for the Rams. For the Patriots, no one's been ruled out, but it is a lengthy report. Working through, Nick Folk is questionable. Lawrence Guy is questionable. Ryan Izzo, J.C. Jackson, Jacob Johnson, Jonathan Jones. A lot of J.C. Jackson, Jacob Johnson, Jonathan Jones. Holy moly, all the J's. Shaq Mason, Cam Newton, he's listed with an abdomen. Matthew Slater and J.J. Taylor, every one of these guys is questionable, and every one of these guys went through limited participation on Wednesday. Maybe some people will be scratched by the time we get to game time, but no one's been ruled out as of yet. No one's listed as doubtful, which is good news for the game. So keep that in mind. Line move in this game. The Rams were a 6.5-point favorite on the look-ahead line. Rams went out and beat the Cardinals. Chargers went out and got annihilated by the Patriots. Line came down. It has continued to drop. It is now Rams minus 4.5. That looks universal. I see a 5 out there, but it's mostly 4.5. The total's also seeing a lot of movement as well. Was 45.5. I see it as low as 43.5, so it's come down 2 points. That's been happening the last few days, especially this morning. There are still some 44s out there. So we got that. That's going to lead into the first 2 picks. I got 3 picks on this game, and then I've got 2 college games I'm going to give you. The 3 picks on this game, I'll give you the prop last. I am going to lay the 4.5 with the Rams, and I'm going to go under the 44. I'm going to follow the steam there. Let's start with the Rams pick. So part of the big narrative you've heard this week is, remember the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Remember the Super Bowl. Patriots had a great game plan. Stopped the Rams, held them to 3 points, beat them. They did. And Brian Flores, who's the defensive coordinator at the time, his Miami team shut down this Rams offense as well a few weeks back. Look at the spot, though. The Rams, we talked about this on this stream all year, seemingly. The Rams were going back to the East Coast for like the 5th time or the 4th time in like 6 weeks. It was ridiculous, all the travel they had to go through. It was a terrible spot. It was also off a Monday night game against the Bears, and they went out there and they got beat. And also, Goff played horrible, but Tua wasn't that great in that game. Credit where credit is due to Miami, but not all wins are created equal. And there's a lot of thought tonight, especially with this under coming down, that Belichick's going to have this wonderful game plan. He's going to shut down the Rams. Maybe he does. I was leaning to the Patriots yesterday. And the more I look at this, I'm just like, F that. I'm playing the Rams in this spot. The Rams are a good football team. Who have they lost to this season? Right? Like, they've lost to the Niners twice. Okay, Shanahan's got McVay's number in that situation. Niners aren't a terrible team. They were terrible Monday night. Not a terrible team, though. So they lose those 2 games, and then they lost that game at Miami, which was a terrible spot, and then they lost a shootout against the Bills where they had a chance to win it late. They came all the way back. Rams are good. Really good defense. First in opponent yards per play, 5th in scoring defense. What's New England going to do offensively? Like, this is my concern if I want to play New England or if I'm not going to play the Rams. If the Rams find a way to score and get some points up there, what are the Patriots going to do to keep pace? They don't throw the ball. Newton's averaging 186 passing yards a game. He's only got 5 touchdown passes this year. 5. So the more I thought about this, I understand Belichick's got McVay before, and I'm sure, Belichick's got another great game plan for tonight, but what is it that's so wonderful about what the Patriots have been doing? Let me bring this up. Everyone's starting to say that they're peaking, they're getting good. I mean, maybe I think this is the same team that lost to Houston a few weeks ago. Like, they went to Houston and got beat. All right. They've lost to San Francisco. They got blown out at home by San Francisco. They got beat at home by Denver. Okay. So the idea here that they figured something out, Belichick's getting the most out of this team, but they just annihilated the Chargers. Who hasn't? They beat the Cardinals the week before. Kingsbury did everything in his power to lose that game. And like usual, that's what Kingsbury does. They lost that game to Houston. They beat Baltimore in the rainstorm. That's a good win. And then they beat the Jets by 3 on Monday night. So they've won 4 or 5. That's what people will tell you. Oh, they've won 4 or 5. They've won 4 or 5. Patriots look good. They beat the Jets by 3. They lost to the Texans. Kingsbury outmanaged the Arizona game, and they blew out the Chargers. The Raven win is a good one. This is a team that still lost to Denver. They still lost to San Francisco. It's not a high-powered offense. I only see one avenue to winning this game for the Patriots. They have to keep it really low scoring, really muck it up, really screw up Jared Goff in this game, which is totally possible considering the way Goff plays quarterback. Okay, he needs his daddy, Sean McVay, to just feed him everything into his ear. And if it's all set up perfectly, he might execute. But I'll lay the 4.5 gladly. I will lay the 4.5 in that situation. That's that. I do not trust the Patriot offense at all, and I think that if the Rams find their way into the lead, it's going to be a great situation to be in. So that's going to be play number one. I'm laying the 4.5. I'm going against the line move, but once this came down from 6.5 to 4.5, I started thinking, keep coming. I'll take it. Patriots are 19th in yards per play. They're 23rd in scoring. Their 6 wins have come against teams with a combined record of 31-41. Right? Miami at 8-4 is the best record of any team they've beaten. I'm going to play the under because I'm going to follow everybody on this one. Smart people that I know, like Preston Johnson's been all over this. So this is kind of where I'm getting it from. Not kind of. This is where I'm getting it from. It makes a ton of sense. If for some reason Belichick has figured out Goff, he's not going to figure him out to an extent where we're in a 45-40 shootout, right? It's going to be able to limit the Ram offense. And again, back to the original point, I don't see the Patriots scoring a lot of points tonight. Rams defense has done really well. I think the Rams have gone under in 7 of their last 9 games as well. That doesn't mean it's going under tonight, but they tend to be a little bit more valued on the high end of the scale. Their scoring has come down as of late too because they're playing better competition. And maybe the Patriots stifle them a little bit. I don't think it's going to be easy sledding. I don't think covering that 4.5 is going to be a piece of cake, but not to the point where I'm not going to play it. Like I said, the big note I have right here, what happens if New England falls behind? What happens in that spot? Are they going to suddenly start throwing the ball all over the lot? It's a bad spot to be in for the Patriots. So Rams minus 4.5. I am going to play it. I'm going under 44 on the total. Third play, Jared Goff passing attempts under 35.5. All right. Number seems low. Let's go through this one a little bit. Almost feel like I hear the pigeons, but I don't. That's a plane. Goff is averaging 37.5 passing attempts a game this season. So that's 2 more. His average is 2 higher than what we're asking him to get to tonight. He's also crossed this number in 4 of his last 5 games. All right, he's thrown 36 or more passes in 4 of his last 5 games. So suddenly you're thinking to yourself, this one looks like a piece of cake. One thing I've learned with props, or at least I try to adhere to with props, if you're going to do the rudimentary analysis, like say it's Derrick Henry over under 100 rushing yards. First thing people do is look to like, what's his average and how often he's done it? Well, he's done it in 8 of 10 games this season, and he's averaging 106 yards per game. That's the first thing people do. And if they go any further, then they'll start to get into the real stuff that matters. I think that just overinflates it. And I think that if he's averaging 37.5 passing attempts per game, and he's hit the mark in 4 of his last 5, why isn't this higher? Right? And the answer is as follows. New England's played 12 games this year, and only 2 quarterbacks have thrown for 36 or more passing attempts in a game. When you play New England, you don't play as many plays. When you play New England, you don't play as many plays. That's a terrible sentence, and I speak for a living. That's embarrassing. When you match up against New England, you do not get off as many plays as you probably average. New England moves at a slower pace. They like to run the football. They like to grind the clock. They play relatively good defense. Point being, if you're not getting as many snaps off, you're not going to be throwing as many passes. Maybe Goff is playing from behind in this game. I don't see that being the case. So here's what we've got. You're going to get less snaps off tonight, at least presumably. And you might be playing with a lead, which means running the ball late. Remember that game against Seattle the Rams played a few weeks back. They had a 2-score lead, and for like the entire final quarter and a half, which I had the over in this game, and I had the team total over. I hit a bunch of winners on that game and a bunch of losers. They completely just grinded out the clock against Seattle at the end of that game. They just ran the ball. The entire final 20 minutes of that game, they just burned out. They weren't even trying to score. And it wouldn't surprise me at all, if that happens again tonight with the lead. It's Thursday night. Get out of this game and go rest. So if they're leading, they're not going to be throwing. So Goff under 35.5 passing attempts tonight. Those are the 3 plays for the game. I got 2 college plays. Baylor plus 5.5 against Oklahoma State. This is kind of like a bowl game pick right here. Baylor's going to be at home. Baylor's like 2-7. They're terrible. New head coach in Dave Aranda. former defensive coordinator at LSU. Does Brooks Koepka wear shirts like this? If he does, he fills them out a hell of a lot better. So Aranda has a terrible record at Baylor in his first year, but the team is still playing hard. This is all about motivation, this final game. All about motivation. Aranda's guys are still playing hard. They just played Oklahoma either a week or two ago. Oklahoma came out saying that was one of the best defenses they had faced. We like having 5.5 in our pocket at home. But Okie State on the other side has been a disaster. What is it? They started the year 4-0, and you're thinking, oh my God, this could be the year, Gundy. This could finally be the year. Not so much. You go 2-3 over your next 5. So Okie State's sitting at 6-3 right now. Gundy's already said he wants to play a bunch of backups. He wants a bunch of second stringers in there. He's just trying to get guys reps and get them ready for the next season. This season has been a total loss. It's been a complete disaster like usual for Oklahoma State. In a year where Oklahoma lost a couple times early, Texas lost, the deck was set for Oklahoma State. Gundy still found a way to not even compete. Not even competing. They're not even in the threshold here. Nothing. So I don't think there's a lot of motivation for Oklahoma State. I think they're coming into this last game, and I don't think they care very much. I think they're trying to escape the season. The coach is already saying he's playing a lot of backups, probably getting ready for next year. Meanwhile, Baylor wants to win. Baylor wants to play hard. Give me that situation in 5.5. That's what we talk about during bowl season every year. Who wants to be in the game and who doesn't want to be there? I remember one of the ultimate examples of this was the Hawaii Bowl. Christmas Eve, I want to say like 2009, 2010, somewhere in that neighborhood. June Jones, who was the former coach at Hawaii, was at SMU. SMU was appearing in their first bowl game since they got the death penalty in the early 80s. So they hadn't been in a bowl game in like 20-some years, right? First one. They were 2 touchdown underdogs against Colin Kaepernick's Nevada team. I'm almost positive it was Kaepernick's Nevada team. That team's laying 14 points. I don't think they wanted anything to do with the Hawaii Bowl. They just wanted to go hang out. SMU wanted to win. SMU had a bunch of fans travel in. 14-point dogs. If memory serves, they won the game outright. And they jumped on them early and never looked back. That's what it's all about with bowl season. We saw that with Texas and Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, I want to say last year, a couple years ago. Texas crushed them. It was like, oh my God, Texas has an underdog. Georgia wanted no part of that. They had just lost, I don't know, the SEC title game or whatever it was. It kept them out of the playoffs. They didn't care about the Sugar Bowl. Texas was very excited to be there. This is one of those games with Baylor. I think they want to win. They want to play hard to the end under Aranda in his first year, and they're playing good defense. Okie State doesn't care. Give me Baylor plus 5.5. Final game, Army-Navy, a tradition unlike any other. Army-Navy's this weekend. And just to throw this out there, the under has cashed, because you're going to hear this. If you haven't heard it yet this week, you're going to hear this. The under has cashed in 14 straight Army-Navy games. Full stop. Period. End of sentence. People are going to be telling you that like crazy. People are going to bet the total in this game, like me, just because we want to be involved in this. The under is cashed in 14 straight. I'm playing the over. I'm playing the over. I think because of that trend and because of the history of this series, this number is so deflated, it's ridiculous. It is 37. Let me make sure I bring this up. I was looking at it this morning. I want to make sure it's not 37.5. Where are we at? 37.5. 37.5. Yeah, I'm going over. And people, oh, you're crazy. 14 straight. First of all, those games have no bearing on this game. All right. Just keep that in mind. Number one. Number two is when everyone tells you that's happened in 14 straight, those years we've gotten 38 or more points in this series. So in the last 10 meetings between these two teams, more than half the time, 60% of the time, 6 times, we've gotten 38 or more points. So you can say, oh, yeah, the under 14 straight. Well, yeah, under at 43, under at 40.5, under at 45, whatever it is. This is as low as it gets, 37.5. Plus, it's a different year. It's not your traditional standalone Army-Navy game, COVID, different seasons, all that stuff. I'm playing the over. I'm bucking the trend over 37.5 Army-Navy. So to recap the 5 plays before we're out of here, Rams minus 4.5 tonight, under 44 points. Jared Goff under 35.5 passing attempts. This weekend, Baylor plus 5.5 over Oklahoma State. Army-Navy over 37.5. That's it. Thank you for coming. You guys are awesome, as always. And we'll be back Sunday morning. So it's 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 a.m. Pacific. We'll do the full NFL rundown. And then the second that last afternoon game goes final, we'll jump on. We'll do 15 minutes or so on the Sunday night game, which is a good one. Bills Steelers. We'll knock it out. We'll come back Monday, 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific, and we'll preview the Monday night game. Already played the under. That's okay. Hey, it could be 15 straight. And we've seen my record. Going the other way of me works out more than it does, unfortunately for me. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you Sunday morning. Boop, boop.